being offended makes you immature. That's a spicy statement that people that are offended often will probably just want to stop this video and not listen to anymore. But if you can get through the offense and learn the lesson, you'll have secrets that majority of people don't operate by that will give you leverage to live a life doing what you actually want to do and get more freedom and more enjoyment out of life. I am interrupting myself right here to let you know that this video does not do a good job at showing the process of tent installation, but it does a good job of relaying the message I'm trying to convey on the topic of this video, which is about being easily offended and family dynamics and the life hack to leveling up connected to offense, taking on offense, and how to filter that. Back to the video. Hey guys, what's up? It is Delise here at Clear Cut Window Tinting, a boutique tent studio experience where we take our time with one car at a time and give it the best service we possibly can. We have moved from a commercial location that we've been in for 12 years and doing this business now since 1999. It is the second day of 2026 as we speak, so quite a long time. My husband and I have been in this industry, and we have had to figure out what our content is about. I'm gonna say me. I'm the one that's just been all over the place. And it's because there's been a lot of life lessons I've had to learn, and 2025 was a mother. So I want to share some of that with you while I tint this car. I am not teaching you how to tint, but if you're curious about what the process looks like, you can watch. I am going to teach you how to life a little bit better and talk to you as I get this car tinted. So let's get into it. So I have heard it said and been taught that being easily offended is going to be a setback for your life. Being easily offended is a clear marker, clear sign of a lack of maturity. And then you could take the word easily out. This is the further understanding I've gained. This goes to a different car. You can take the word easily out and just say being offended makes you immature. And that's a spicy statement that people that are offended often will probably just want to stop this video and not listen to anymore. But if you can get through the offense and learn the lesson, you'll have secrets that majority of people don't operate by that will give you leverage to live a life doing what you actually want to do and get more freedom and more enjoyment out of life, out of your relationships, out of the relationship you have with yourself first and foremost, your relationship with the Creator, if you believe in that. I do. I've taken what I have learned about offenses and distilled it down to something that speaks even more powerfully to me. And it's what offends you controls you. So being focused on what someone did wrong to you, and the first example I'll use is parents, because every therapist and psychologist is going to go from whatever you're dealing with now back to your childhood. So I'm a firstborn, and the family dynamics are so real. So hopefully you're a person that believes in that kind of thing, because unless you're an only child and you are living under a rock, you have seen the patterns of how the birth order affects personalities, offenses, those similar offenses through every family. And that's mind-blowing to me, because if you see how similar the offenses are, why not just stop being offended? This is a part of being born in that order, and that there's another way to work around what's bothering you, and then get to a point where it's not bothering you at all, because as I like to say, you're not special. That also bothers people. People get offended by the saying, you're not special. That saying, the first time it was told to me, was very offensive. But now that I'm a different me at another level, I love that saying. It's so freeing, because all it's saying is, I am not alone. I am not the only one experiencing this situation, this family dynamic, this relationship dynamic, this work dynamic, this identity dynamic, this ego dynamic. Every single human being is having the similar experience, regardless of how varying this scenario might be. And so something that has allowed me to have more peace in life is to take what I was taught of don't be easily offended to the level of what offends you is actually controlling your life. Everything you're doing, what's powered, the center power that's powering everything that you do, the decisions you make, the relationships you keep, the ones you walk away from. And none of this is negative. It's all just something to learn from. It's neutral. And when you take something that would normally offend you and look at it as something neutral, neither good nor bad, but just something to learn from, to sit in it and analyze it, man, you really can shave a lot of stress and heartache off your life, because the majority of our heartache in our life we're doing to ourselves. A good friend of mine said to me after losing his wife a few months ago that we can run as fast as we can and we still can't run away from ourselves. And that has really stuck with me, because I was able to recognize how I have been running from myself and then making the excuse that it's other people's fault based on how they've offended me. A lot of times, adult children, people, I'll just say people, because we're all someone's child, right? I'm just talking to the dynamic of birth order and parent-child relationship. A lot of times people will avoid the success they could truly have because they don't want their parents to have the satisfaction of the kid being successful, because they don't want the parent to say, I did that, I raised them like that. And so then they self-sabotage. And it sounds insane having it pointed out, but you could probably relate or see that in someone else that you know, that they sabotage themselves because they're offended by their parents and their parents' lack of perfection, and therefore have decided, I'm actually going to not be successful because I don't want to give my parents the satisfaction. And then there's the opposite. Happens to a lot of firstborns, where there's so much pressure put on the firstborn because parents are different parents for each child. They're a different parent to the firstborn than they are to the middle, different from the first and the middle that they are to the last. And so no two people on the planet are experiencing the same parent, or parents if you were blessed enough to have both parents in the home growing up. And it's funny because it's such a petty argument between siblings. Well, that's not how I experienced that, or that's not how I remembered that happened. And then they're both defending the way they remember it happened. It's so stupid, because you both are entitled to the memory of what you had, because you put your meaning on it based on the relationship you had with your parents, your level of maturity, how much you knew about the world, and how you could handle. As kids, we don't have the tools we have as adults to handle and process the things that we're dealing with. And then we carry that lack of processing and immaturity into our adulthood and keep the same offense that we had as a kid about the thing. It is such a injustice to live your life that way. We all know people who are still mad about things in their childhood. And you could look at someone else whose parents, were abusive or actually did neglect them and left them to die and starve, and they had to figure out life on the world. And you can always compare and say, well, their situation was worse than my situation. But it's so silly to carry and walk in offense and then wonder why we also walk in depression, because you can't be offended and walk in offense for an extended period of time and also not have some sense of darkness and depression on you. The Creator made it that way to highlight, oh, you're doing this wrong, you're thinking about this wrong, you're going about this the wrong way, because newsflash, none of you human beings are perfect, you're all flawed. So be mad at whoever you want for as long as you want. All that's going to do is bring more of your flaws to the forefront for you to have to deal with, because you're choosing to walk in immaturity by not being forgiving. So we're putting this expectation on people that they should live up to our expectations and act the way we want them to and do the things we think they want them to. And then we're offended by it. So back to that soundbite of what offends you controls you. a lot of my content that I was making over the past couple years was me responding to my offense of people in my culture blaming one other culture for all of their problems, because I saw the problems and the weaknesses in that, and I saw that it's giving the enemy, and I don't believe the enemy has a skin color on it. The Bible says our enemy has no skin on him. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against powers, principalities, and rulers of darkness. But if you're not a Bible person, that isn't something you can lean on for understanding, to recognize that when you're blaming the white man, I'll just say it, or your boss or whomever for your failures or your lack to step up and take advantage of the opportunities you have, or you're stuck in the past. You know, a lot of people in this politically charged world that we're living in, we're blaming slavery and white people alive today and this thing they believe is, you know, this system, instead of using the system or stepping outside of that belief to now create their own ecosystem. Again, the Bible doesn't say the world has control over you. It says you're in the world, but you're not of it. So it may be true that the system is rigged this way or that, but that's not against you unless you believe that it is. A man is as he believes. A man says he can do it, he can. If a man says he can't do it, he can't. Man is a general term in the Bible for human, so I'm talking about women as well, for those of you that need me to say that out loud. Leave your comments on examples of how you can see how what offends you ends up controlling your life. Another way to say that is what you focus on controls you. If you're carrying offense, you're now scarred and bleeding. And I really like the saying, when you carry offense or when you're scarred, you bleed on people who didn't actually hurt you. Who actually hurt you? And are you continuing to hurt yourself by not forgiving and letting go? Forgiveness is not for the person that hurt you. It's for you to have peace. All right, gotta make sure the car is turned on so we can roll the window up and down. So that's the only way to tint it. Little tip, or maybe not a tip, a information for all you people watching who don't tint and are begging the question, why is the tint on the outside of the glass? I have had to answer that question more than any question I've answered in my life. I know for a fact I've answered that question more than I've answered the question, how in the heck and why did you get married at 16? Why is the tint on the outside of the glass? You know tint goes on the inside, right? No, I don't know. I've just been doing this 20 years. Automotive glass has a bow to it, a curve to it, a curvature, and tint does not. Tint is flat. It has to be heat shrunk to match the shape of the glass. So no, I'm not doing unnecessary extra work. I'm doing what needs to be done to get the job done correctly and for the whole process to work the way it's supposed to work. Some of you formulate the question very maturely. Like, oh, I'm really curious about why the film is on the outside of the glass. And then some of you, which reveals a lot about your character, will say really cocky things like, I don't know how long you've been doing this, but I'm pretty sure tint goes on the inside instead of just being curious and asking a question. And the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So if you're not a curious person or have trained yourself, it's something I've had to train myself to be, is to ask questions when I'm confused versus make a statement like I already know what's going on. You will have a different life experience than the person who's learned how to ask the right questions. I love that part in the movie I, Robot with Will Smith when his deceased mentor has left like an AI 3D hologram. That's the word I'm looking for. And the hologram doesn't answer his questions until he answers the right question. And that is actually how life works. If we're not going through life asking the right questions, and the right questions come from having the right attitude and from not walking in offense, then you get the answers that you need to propel you to the next level. Life is a game. Have fun. I was watching an awesome YouTube this morning talking about talking to business owners and entrepreneurs about not being consistent with whatever you're pursuing. And it was really good for me because I have had the tendency to stop when I'm bored. I'm pretty good at keep going when it's hard, because I know that everything's hard before it's easy. Like, I've got that one internally in my heart. But what I haven't had is that when it gets boring, you still have to keep going, and I'll switch it up. Like, well, I'm supposed to be pursuing my passion, right? I don't feel passionate about this, so I got to switch it and do something else. And he crushed that. It's Alex Hermosi, by the way, if you want to follow him. He is an awesome entrepreneur, multi-million-dollar, multi-business owner with him and his wife. Awesome power couple. Trying to get back on my train of thought. I used to feel ashamed that I couldn't multitask, and then I started to own it. And then someone said to me, you're not supposed to multitask. You're supposed to be uber focused and do one thing at a time, and then you'll be more productive in your life. And that was another freeing nugget for me, because I used to get shamed also by people I worked with for not being able to do two things at once well. And then someone said to me, it's not how you're supposed to operate. You're supposed to focus on one thing at a time. And as an author, that definitely rings true, because I cannot get into flow state and write a novel or even a short story or even a paragraph and it be as good as it possibly can be if I'm also doing something else at the same time. It's impossible. What offends you controls you. So this week, what we could have been offended by, what we did get offended by, was the process of moving I'm trying not to use the business's name, so I'm going to slow down. Moving our service provider from a commercial location and a commercial service to a residential. Closing down all of the commercial services to transition them to our house. And we were told something different by every person on the phone that worked for this company. And when I say told something different by every person, I am not exaggerating. We probably talked to 8 to 10 people during the course of transitioning home. And that was very offensive. And then we had to go to the actual store to return a modem and then go pick a modem back up. And at a certain point, we were gathered with family, and all of us were discussing how much these different service providers don't know what they're talking about or lead you down the wrong path because they're just trying to make a sale, or they're not really listening, or they're reading a script instead of listening to the nuances of what you're trying to do. And in that conversation, I found myself going, I don't want to talk about this anymore. It's so not important, and it's only a step that we have to go through because we moved the shop home. I'm not dealing with service providers every month, maybe once every 5 years. And for me, luckily, I haven't had to do this in 12 years, because we've been in our commercial location for that long. So I was like, this is taking up way too much time in our life. Can we talk about something that's going to help us grow? And that's an entrepreneur mindset. Some people love small talk. It's hard for me to not want to bang my head up against a brick wall, talking too long about things that aren't going to change your life or make it better. And that's why I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing by talking to you guys about these different things that can improve our lives, these different concepts and attitudes and mindsets that can improve our lives. And the concept that what offends you controls you is so powerful if you choose to focus on what that means, how it applies to you, and how you can level up. Because when you're not getting offended, you save a lot of time. And time is the most precious commodity that we have. Some people think it's money, but it's not. It's time. On your deathbed, when you've lived, hopefully, God willing, a long, long, healthy life, You are not going to look back and say, I wish I made more money, before you say, I wish I spent my time better. Because if you spend your time better, you will figure out how to make more money. But in that time is relationships and growing yourself up. And to piggyback off that concept, the best investment you can make is into yourself. And in today's day and age, if you are not finding online mentors and thought leaders to follow and listen to them speak about whatever topic, you are really doing yourself a disservice, because it is all at your fingertips right there in your phone. It's okay to be addicted to things that are actually leveling your life up and adding quality to your life. So scrolling, mindless scrolling, not okay to be addicted to. But if the only people you follow are dropping knowledge bombs and teaching you how to walk in wisdom, then you're spending your time doing something very worthwhile, because now you can even take their information and add time to your life. One of the ways I'm adding time to my life is by eliminating doing the things that don't actually serve my purpose and what I'm headed toward. So, for example, watching too much Netflix, too many movies, when I know I should be reading or writing or making this content, so you guys know that I speak and teach and write. If I don't tell you guys about it, if I don't make content about it, then nothing's going to happen with it. I could write the best book ever and no one would know about it. And there's plenty of books out there that no one's ever heard of because they weren't marketed, they weren't talked about. Something I got from the YouTube I was listening to this morning, which was really powerful for me, was if it's not hard, it's not going to take you to where you need to get. People are expecting that when they do find their passion, that it's going to be easy because they love doing it. And that has been a stronghold for me in my life for my entire life, for my entire adult life. I knew that it would be hard in the sense that everything you start is hard until you get a routine, until you get better at it, that there's going to be challenges, that there's going to be haters. I knew all of that. But the challenges I was facing, because I hadn't defined them as a part of what should normally happen when you're trying to reach this goal, I was telling myself, oh, nope, too hard, let me try something else. Complete lie from the devil. And for those of you that don't believe in a devil or negative forces, or maybe you just believe in negative energy, all the same things. These words are all interchangeable. Lie from yourself, right? Because we are our biggest enemy. It is a lie from yourself that it should be easy, or that the person that attained something in life that you want had it easier than you, didn't have to go through as much pain as you would have had to go through to get there. These are all lies. One of the things I have been most offended by in my life was one of my siblings said, oh, they're still together and still married because they got lucky. It's easier for them. Oh my gosh, I let that boil my blood. Like, if you had any idea how much pain was involved in me getting to the piece that you see, and how much pain is still involved in making that work. And so the YouTube I was watching this morning made sense, because he was like, the key to success is pain. You don't get to skip the pain. You actually have to go through it, and you have to get good at understanding that the pain is a part of the process, to where it doesn't hurt as much anymore, because you're just like, yeah, that's just a part. I'm just going to push through. Like people walking over hot coals. And the people that walk on hot coals, they're actually doing a system of not being easily offended, of learning that the mind truly is more powerful than your circumstances, and they walk on hot coals and don't get burned. Another person could step on the hot coals and get burned. One person's feet aren't special or magic. One person's mind is operating differently. And my goal for myself has been to continuously make my mind operate on the level of those people that I see who are living a life closer to where I want to be. And I am so much closer this year than I was last year or the year before, et cetera, et cetera. I am working from home with my husband, working on my novel, making thought-provoking, thought leader content for you, while making money, tinting beautiful cars. The Sequoia is sexy, by the way. I get to spend time with my grandkids. I started riding dirt bikes 3 years ago. We have a camper that we go out, take out really often. In 2019, I think it was, we went camping every weekend for like 10 months to a different location. Like, I'm living the life that I want to live. I'm not saying that to brag. And if you've taken it that way, that should reveal to you something about your maturity. I am saying it to say, if you change the way you think and the way you perceive everything in life, the way you perceive your childhood, the anger you're still holding toward your parents or your siblings or that friend who did you wrong, if you change your perception about all of it and realize we're all just doing the best we can, no matter how effed up our best is, it's not personal. You're not special. No one's attacking you. No one's out to get you. And if you believe the world is out to be against you, you will live that type of experience. You are going to live the life experience that you expect to live, because that is how the whole code was set up in this game called life. And I love cheat codes, not because you're literally cheating, because cheaters never prosper, but because you can level up your life if you just understand the mentality you need to have to get there. So what has freed me and where I have been extremely immature is when things get boring, after I've got past the challenge of starting a new business, figuring out how to do the thing. One of them, as you know, if you follow me, was making soap. Once I figured out how to make the soap and make the soap well, I had this level of satisfaction. The dopamine dump was over and I was like, all right, what's next? But how am I ever going to get to what I envision as my end goal if I keep stopping and restarting? If I keep starting to build a bridge, never get the bridge over to this other piece of land, what am I going to do? You know, how am I going to cross over if I don't finish the bridge? So finishing bridges has been the biggest challenge in my life. And we could get into the psychology of it, of my birth order, of things that were said to me when I was a kid, the way I perceived the things that were said to me, and how it's all culminated. You know, I could go daddy issues. We've all got them. Like, for a while, I thought I was special and other people were special when they talk about their daddy issues or mommy issues. Literally every human being has them. Every human being. And when you hear a human being saying, my parents were the best, I respect them, I appreciate them, they're the reason who I am today, it doesn't mean that they didn't have any issues. It means they figured out the code. The Bible says if you honor your parents, you will have long life in the earth. That is a promise. And what makes God God is that he cannot lie. So honoring and learning what it means to honor them, and that doesn't have to mean that you are talking to them every day or in their face. Maybe your parent isn't a safe place to be. Maybe your parent is completely demented, psychotic, whatever. You still, if you just honor the fact that you wouldn't be here in the earth if it weren't for them, then it'll free you up to give you some light and get out of the darkness that you're in. Because I know that if you are harboring a lot of pain and offense toward your parents, or anyone for that matter, you can't also be living a joyful life and enjoying your life, because that's the code. The code has been set up of the universe to work a certain way, to give us clues, and that's why God is good all the time, because the clues are there. If you're feeling detached and in darkness, it's because it's a clue that there's mentality that you need to change. And that's a blessing, because what if we were just all walking around lost and in darkness and afraid and thinking everyone's out to get us, and none of us knew that that's actually a code for something you need to change in you, because you can't change the racists or the rapists or the mean person in traffic who honked at you and they really shouldn't have. They were being impatient. They were having a bad day, but you internalized it and took it personal. Even though you know this person doesn't know you from Adam, has nothing to do with your true character, but because you're also testy and impatient, you can't laugh at it. Now you're upset, and now you guys are following each other in beef. That's a Netflix special that was pretty good about road rage. No affiliation. I was not paid to say that. I'm just talking. And if you're still watching this video after all the rambling I've been doing, I want to say, I hope what I'm saying has some meat to it and is helping you the way this information has helped me. Because it's not scripted, it might feel messy and all over the place. And if that bothers you, awesome. You learned something about yourself. Maybe that you need to work on your patience, or maybe I'm not the person for you to follow. Those are both really good things to know. Because the person for you to follow with similar information and better information and a better delivery is out there. We all have a unique calling. We are special. Ha, gotcha. For those of you waiting me to tell you that you're special, because I told you you're not special, you are special in that no other human being will ever exist with your exact life experience, your exact DNA, your exact makeup, your exact calling, the way you take all those specific things, put them together to do whatever it is you were supposed to do in the earth. And you can't figure out what you're supposed to do in the earth if you haven't figured out that what offends you controls you, because offense blocks your eyes to seeing what you've been called to do. Oh, the codes. If you haven't watched my YouTube about the marriage codes, hubby hacker codes, hubby hacker is a term I came up with just to say I figured out how to hack marriage or husbands. And there's codes in there, respect codes, communication codes, intimacy codes. Go check out that YouTube. I'll do my best to put it in the comments or link it to this video. And wow. Hope this was good for you guys. I'm going to move on to the other side. This is the 20% on this driver window. Came out very clean because I am really good at what I do. But also, this is a 2026, which makes my job so much easier to get clean work. And I'm going to go to the other side. I'm going to stop this video right here and say, chase your butterflies. Life is a game. Have fun. Learn how to play. If games weren't challenging and hard, they wouldn't be fun to play. So hard is fun. The challenge is what makes it fun. Choose your hard, because sitting on the couch and continuing to scroll Netflix, continuing to not get out, continuing not to try to change who you are and work through that hard is much harder than the hard of growing up. Love you guys. We'll run that back. Life is a game. Have fun. Life is an art. Be creative. See y'all on the next video. Peace. You can get my books on Amazon.com. Just look up Delise Collins.